The crimson flame devoured everything. Not only the ashes of the ants were left behind. The crimson flame did not stop there. The attack went on to hit the destroyed Blackwood city that now has become a nest and a ruin. Boom! A huge mushroom cloud rose in the air in the cold night of winter. For the moment the bright light that came along with the explosion had lit up the entire sky, making one feel as if it was daytime. The explosion was so big that everything in 10 kilometers radius was shaking. The sound of the explosion was heard even from a long distance. The attack was so strong that even the mutant fire ants that were hiding inside their newly made nest also had died. The explosion had reached all the mutant fire ants under the ground. The shockwave of the explosion was so fierce that it took out almost all of the mutant ant that currently inside their newly built nest, which was beneath the Blackwood city. Ding! You have killed a peak 3rd order. Your obtained experience points will be saved for future use. Ding! You have killed a mid 3rd order. Your obtained... This. Aiden was stunned to his core. At this moment he cannot express just how shocked and frightened he was. Even though he can't give an exact estimation, but he felt that the number of mutant fire ants that died from this attack had reached 1 million. It was not just the mutant fire ants, even the dead bodies of the humans and other races were burned to ashes, meaning that all of the stored food that they worked hard to get was also gone. At this moment Aiden didn't know what he should feel. Should he feel shocked at the fact that a mere beginner 3rd order cultivator was powerful enough to launch such devastating attack? Should he feel angry at the fact that their newly built nest was destroyed? Should he feel angry at the fact that more than 1 million of his own race died right in front of his eyes? Or should he feel regret and raged at the fact that all of their foods was gone? While Aiden was remained standing while being stunned, Sylvie took opportunity of this golden chance. Although she was just as shocked as Noah was, she did not froze like Aiden. Instead, to her this was the perfect opportunity to kill her enemy. Just as the explosion ended, the ground started cracking. Under Sylvie's control, the earth began taking the shape of more than hundreds of earth spears. She then made each earth spear very tough and also very sharp. She did all this less than a second before launching her attack at Aiden. Aiden, being a beginner 5th order, felt something was being directed at him. At snapped out of his shocked state, realizing that he was still in the middle of a battle. By the time he noticed the hundreds of earth spear, the spears were already 5 meters away from hitting his body. I can't dodge at such a close distance. Damn bit ***. Aiden angrily cursed as he somehow tried to use his hands to cover his head, but it was too late. Just a small moment of being off guard had costed him to lose this battle. Bang! Aiden gritted his teeth in pain as some of the earth spears pierced his body. Fortunately he managed to protect his head. Unfortunately, other than his head, almost every part of his body was pierced by a earth spear. Noah snapped out of his shocked state seeing the beginner 5th order mutant fire ant falling from the sky. He couldn't help but smile seeing the current miserable state of the beginner 5th order mutant fire ant. Never thought I would lose because of being distracted for a few seconds. Even though every part of Aiden's body except for his head was pierced by earth spear, he still managed to live even after falling from the height of 500 meters. The body of the beginner 5th order is very stronger. Their health and stamina is also very high and cannot be compared to any lower order. If someone feeds Aiden a peak 3rd star or beginner 4-star healing potion, Aiden would easily survive, but he knew in his heart that this was over. In his opinion, he and his race has done nothing wrong. They needed food to survive, which is why they attacked the Blackwood city, even after knowing that attacking the Blackwood city would mean that they were going to end up becoming the Ethereal Empire. It looks like it's finally over. The princess, who was freely riding Aditya, sighed in relief. Noah also felt relieved. Although the other fire mutant ants had managed to run away or scatter around, they were no longer a threat. As for the queen and the main army of mutant fire ants, the Ethereal Empire is going to deal with that. Though they are still not sure where the queen and the main mutant fire ants army lies. Sylvie flew down and landed right beside Aiden, who was lying on the ground with earth spears stuck to his body. Red blood was coming out of his body while he looked at the sky. The cold snow fell from the sky and landed on his body. His body was slowly losing the warmth, showing that he was rapidly losing his health and was going to die. If you tell us the location of your queen, then I will save your life. It would be a headache to look for the queen. After countering more than hundreds of 4th order mutant fire ants and a 5th order, everyone was sure that the whole mutant fire ant colony had more than 1 5th order cultivators. Humph. Why should I betray my queen and my race? Sylvie didn't look that surprised by Aiden's answer. She already seems to have guessed what he is going to answer. According to the reports, there were thousands of 4th order. But we only face 129 4th order mutant fire ants. Where are the other 4th order mutant fire ants? After we took down this city, they went back to the queen. I was left in charge of keeping our newly nest protected, which I failed. Not just I failed, but also I have let millions of mutant fire ants die in front of my own eyes while I did nothing to save them. Human, do not think that this is over. Mother Queen is far more stronger. She will have her revenge on you all for my and my brother's death. Mark my words, she is going to kill you all. Sylvie stared at the dead body Aiden for an entire minute in silence before sighing while looking up. These days it was extremely hard to find someone trustworthy enough. Alicia, who had wrapped her arms around Aditya's neck, looked down. Her gaze lingering on the deep crater that completely had made the Blackwood city disappear from the map. While the mutant fire ants only destroyed the Blackwood city and turned it into ruins, Aditya had completely erased the Blackwood city from the map. From now on, the Blackwood city had become a thing of the past. Should we head back? Alicia asked. The princess did not realize that this entire time her soft body was pressed against his body. Let's head back. The situation is more dangerous than we thought. Reporting this to your father is our top priority. If this had happened in Aditya's territory, he alone would have went to wiped out every single mutant fire ants. He did not need his army. But things worked differently in other empires. Also the fact that the enemy might have multiple fifth orders made things dangerous. Although they were not sure about the enemy having multiple fifth orders, it would be better to be safe than sorry. Alright, let's go back. Sylvie put the dead body of Aiden in her storage ring. She wanted to show this to the Emperor and also use the fifth order mutant fire ant's body parts to make weapons. She was sure that the claws of the fifth order mutant fire ant would make very high quality weapons. On their way back, no one spoke anything. Even Alicia, the goddess, did not said anything when Aditya was tightly holding her body against his. Maybe she had not paid attention to what she was holding on to. Or maybe she was thinking something which made her forget that Aditya was enjoying the soft sensation on his chest. His Royal Highness and the princess has returned. All the soldiers who were stationed outside the Rose Hill city walls looked at the group of 4 people who was descending down and landed right in front of the city gate. Who is this man? Judging by the way he is holding the princess's waist, I am sure the princess must have an intimate relationship with this man. Maybe this guy is the princess's boyfriend. Or maybe he is the princess's unannounced fiancé. Alicia, Aditya, Noah and Sylvie were able to hear the whispers of the soldiers with their enhanced senses. Hearing these words, Alicia realized that her body was pressing against Aditya. She quickly became embarrassed. Her cheeks turned red. Unfortunately, no one managed to see her beautiful face that was hidden under the veil. As long as Aditya landed on the ground, she glared at Aditya while gently pushing him away. Aditya only chuckled, realizing that the princess must have been embarrassed. Welcome back, Your Royal Highness. Levi, the commander of the million troops, welcomed the crown prince and the princess. Levi, you can ask the soldiers to take some rest and take things easy. For the next few days the chances of mutant fire ant attacking this city is less than 90%. Just be sure to regularly send scouts and search the area surrounding the city. Your Royal Highness, what do you mean by mutant? Levi asked with a confused face. These are not just normal fire ants. They are mutant fire ants. An evolved version of normal fire ants. I will explain things later. For now I will have to urgently report everything to the Emperor. Levi nodded and moved aside to let Aditya, Alicia, Sylvie and Noah enter the city. Next morning at the breakfast of the Osborne family. Noah, you should have reported everything to me as soon as you returned from Blackwood City. The Emperor, also known as Ronnie, looked a little angry and also frustrated at this moment. Father, when we returned home, we found you sleeping on your desk. I thought I can just report everything when you wake up. Noah knew that his father had worked really hard these days, knowing that his daughter is going to bring her boyfriend. Besides, the matter with the mutant fire ant was temporarily solved. Noah didn't think that the mutant fire ant queen would send her army right after she lost over 1 million of her children. Sigh. Ronnie sighed hearing his son's words. It was true that Ronnie had fallen asleep last night. Ronnie slept not because he was tired or anything. It was impossible for a fifth order to get tired or exhausted from working. It was the opposite. He was bored. At the middle of the night when he is normally sleeping, he was staying awake. Even he did not notice when he fell asleep while waiting for his son, daughter and daughter's boyfriend to return. I have to do something about my sleeping habit. Ronnie felt that his sleeping habits were going out of hands. Hearing Noah's words, Nora, Bianca and Flora, all 3 wives of the Emperor, rolled their eyes. Noah, your father wasn't exhausted. He has a habit of falling asleep whenever he is working while sitting on his desk. This is not the first time this has happened. Next you see your father sleeping, just wake him up. Alright, mother. Noah also knew about his father's habit, as he had seen his mother scold his father for falling asleep during work many times when he was young. He simply lied so that he can save his father's face in front of Alicia and Aditya. But it looked like his mothers were not going to let it happen. Ronnie's right eye twitched hearing his third wife's words. The man again sighed while deciding to drop this matter. He knew that if he continued with this topic, he would only be roosted by his wives in front of his daughter and his daughter's boyfriend. Alright, give me a brief summary of what happened last night. What happened to Blackwood City? It was horrible. All we saw were half-eaten dead bodies. The eyes of the dead were open wide and it reflected the fear that they faced when dying. The whole city was painted in red blood. The ground and the grass had been painted red. Blackwood City had become a ruin. Not even a single building or man-made structure was left intact. Everything was broken, destroyed, and smashed. Sigh. The Emperor sighed another time. This time he felt regret about the fact that under his watch 1.5 citizens of his empire had died. He knew that this wouldn't have happened if the mutant fire ants had not attacked them. Suddenly Ronnie's eyes got cold. The aura around him changed. His gaze had become sharp and calculative. Those emerald green pupils of his seemed to contain endless lust for blood and revenge. Tell me about the enemy. Ronnie's tone was very serious and also cold. Noah and his 3 mothers seemed to know that they couldn't mess around when their husbands and father are so serious. Noah straightened his back. He then put the spoon and knife on the table. First of all, the most surprising and also shocking fact that we discovered is that the fire ant, which we thought to be abnormal magical animal, as a normal fire ant cannot reach 2nd order, not to mention 3rd or higher orders, is actually mutant fire ants. It seems the ant queen has someone managed to evolve and become mutant fire ant queen and give birth to mutant fire ants. Clinking. Aditya raised his head to see that Alicia's grandmother had dropped the spoon from her hand and was looking at Noah with her eyes wide open. Those emerald pupils of hers were filled with shock and disbelief. Her body was slightly shaking. Just like how fast Ronnie's aura changed, Olivia's aura also changed. But unlike Ronnie, who looked like he couldn't wait to get his hands on the mutant fire ants, Olivia looked more shocked and also frightened. Ronnie noticed the strange behaviors of his mother. He frowned and asked his mother while massaging his temples. "Mother, do you know anything about the mutant fire ants?" Olivia stiffly nodded her head. "I have heard of them from my grandmother when I was around Alicia's age. My grandmother told me that around 800 to 1,500 years ago, more than 2,500,000 mutant fire ants had appeared in the territory of a certain powerful empire that had multiple fifth orders." Olivia then paused. She then took a sip of tea to calm herself and also for her dry throat. When the mutant fire ants appeared, in just a month's time, the mutant ants had alone caused the half of the empire to fall. More than 13 million people had died because of the mutant fire ants. It was only when several and the remaining fifth orders of the empire joined their hands together, they were able to defeat the mutant fire ant queen. Ronnie, Bianca, Flora, and Nora, all four gulped in fear. To think the mutant fire ant queen was powerful enough to fight several fifth orders. It made Ronnie and others wonder just how strong the mutant fire queen was. It was later found that the mutant fire ant queen had hidden herself in the deep forest. She did not allow any foreigner to find out her nest and her children, nor did she let anyone live long enough to tell that there were mutant fire ants. After a few decades of hunting, without no one realizing it, the queen and a few of her children had reached a frightening level. After their population was increased to a certain point, the queen had no choice but to hunt people that lived in the cities, as the mutant fire ants had hunted all the beasts in the forest. For the next few minutes, no one spoke. After digesting all the information, Ronnie put his attention on his son, who was the future emperor of the Ethereal Empire. "Noah, you can continue." "When we were about to leave the Blackwood City after having a rough understanding of the enemy's powers, we were stopped by a beginner fifth order mutant fire ant. The fact that the mutant fire ant had a fifth order made Olivia and Ronnie even more serious. The fifth order mutant fire ant did not let us go. Sylvie and the fifth order and fought for a while. Come to think of it, I really couldn't sense it when the fifth order mutant fire had appeared behind me. I should have been more alert." When Aditya, Alicia, Noah, and Sylvie had come to Blackwood City, Aiden was returning to Blackwood City after having a meeting with the queen. As a result, neither Aditya nor Sylvie was able to sense its presence within the city. It was only when the team was about to leave, Aiden stopped the visitors, mainly to prevent any information from being leaked and also to eat the flesh of a beginner fifth order. The higher one's cultivation order was the tastier and the more delicious their flesh was to others. Eating the flesh of a high order can really benefit a low order. This is why higher order magical beasts are always sold in millions or even in billions. Rich nobles and kings would spend a large sum of money just to get the meat of third order magical beasts. What happened then? When Sylvie and that fifth order ant had started fighting, it attracted the attention of others mutant fire ants. We were attacked by 129 fourth order mutant fire ants. It was all thanks to Aditya we have managed to survive. He not only killed all the fourth order mutant fire ants, but he also killed 1 million of the mutant fire ants. The other mutant fire ants attacked Aditya, Alicia, and Noah because they had become confident after sensing that these three's cultivation was only in third order. Once again the whole family was shocked. Ronnie and Olivia definitely wouldn't have believed it if these words were spoken by someone else. But they knew that Noah was not the type of lie. For the next 5 minutes, Aditya was being stared at by the whole Osborne family like he was an animal in a zoo. He can only lower his head and pretend to not notice their burning stares while having his breakfast, which had become cold. Aditya is really powerful. Today he not only carried Alicia in his arms but also fought the dangerous fourth order mutant fire ants while protecting my sister's life. Hearing these words, the goddess's face instantly turned red. She angrily glared at her big brother. "I won't forget this," Alicia murmured in a low audible tone. "Really, thank you very much to all those who sensed." What happened was a shock to every single empire and kingdom in the central region of the West Nia continent. The first few people that got the news were the emperors of the rivaling empires. Everyone, regardless of who they were, whether it was the duke or the commander or the emperor, was shocked to hearing that the Ethereal Empire had failed to protect the lives of the citizen and had lost more than 1.5 million people in a single night. The first move that the rivaling empires make after hearing this news was to add more soldiers to their border. While the ordinary citizen had no idea how terrifying the mutant fire ants were, the emperors and the nobles had a deeper understanding of the whole situation and knew what danger the mutant fire ant had. Everyone became wary of the heavenly hemlock forest. Adventurers stopped from entering the heavenly hemlock forest, fearing that they meet the mutant fire ant and will get killed. The news had become a hot topic. Some ignorant fools were going as far as to claim that 1.5 million died because of Ethereal Empire's negligence. If the Empire had put more troops to protect Blackwood City, then this incident wouldn't have happened. Some even went far as to say that the Emperor and the Ethereal Empire did not care much about the citizens of their empire. Overall, when the news spread throughout the Ethereal Empire, the Emperor's reputation took a great hit. Ronnie wasn't stressed about these kinds of things. Right now he had other important things to do. Like locating where the mutant fire ant queen was hiding. After Ronnie learned how strong the mutant fire was from Noah and Aditya's reports, he also sent 2 Fifth Order elders to Rose Hill City. "These days everything is going wrong with the Ethereal Empire," spoke a man who was wearing a butler outfit. The man who was dressed as a butler was around 5 feet 8 inches tall. The man was pale, messy green hair covering his forehead and his left eye. The fair-skinned man had black pupils and long ears. The most noticeable thing about him was the scar over his left eye. "Ivan, what made you say such words?" The question was asked by Ivan's master. Ivan was the name of the young elfman in a butler outfit. His master was a beautiful young lady with blonde hair that she had tied in a ponytail. Ivan's master was a young lady in her 20s. Her name was Kyra Ross. Kyra was 5 feet 6 inches tall. She was only 2 inches smaller than Ivan. Kyra had golden pupils. The most noticeable thing about Kyra was the mole located at the center of her forehead, right between her eyebrows. Kyra was the young lady of the Rose family. The Rose family was one of the noble families in the Ethereal Empire. Kyra was the third princess of the Rose family. The Rose family was made in charge of governing Rose Hill City by Ronnie's grandfather. Kyra could live a luxurious life, but she refused to do it. She instead opened her own restaurant with the money that she had saved up. She opened her own small business and has been living independently. The girl's dream was to live independently. Fortunately, it was not difficult for Kyra to fulfill her dream. Her parents were very open-minded and supportive. The only condition that Kyra had to follow was that she was not allowed to set up her shop in other cities. She was allowed live in any part of the city using a fake identity. If she wanted to go out and travel to another city, she has to let her father know about it and take some guards with her for her safety. A week ago some thieves attacked one of our neighboring shops. A few days, someone died from a heart attack right in front of our shop. If all these crazy events weren't enough, on top of that, one of the corrupted officials are ****ped many women. My lady, don't you feel strange that suddenly out of nowhere without any warning, Blackwood City was attacked by mutant fire ants? What's more strange, these ants are not just some normal ants. Now the big incident with Blackwood City. All these incidents are making me feel that the Ethereal Empire is no longer a safe place to live. Ivan explained why he said that everything is going wrong with the Ethereal Empire. Kyra did not answer. Ivan's words also forced her to think. When she carefully thought about all these incidents have happened over the period of just 1 week. Now the whole city was closed to outsiders. The city was now being protected by 1 million troops and 2 fifth-order cultivators. Now that the whole city has been closed to outsiders, our and many other people's business has been affected. I don't see any reason on why we need to keep the city closed to outsiders. It's not like a virus is going to spread if we don't keep the outsiders from entering the city. Ivan looked outside. Through the transparent glass window, he looked at the street which was currently covered in white snow. Right now the sky had turned dark and snow had begun to fall from the sky. My lady, I can't help but feel that the Emperor has made a wrong choice. There was no need to shut down the Rose Hill City to outsiders. Ivan's tone was filled with anger and mockery. Sigh. Kyra sighed as she also looked outside. The third princess of the Rose family cannot deny what her servant was saying is very true. Even Kyra felt that the Emperor shouldn't have shut down the city. Now it felt like they were trapped in this city. If Kyra wasn't a noble, she would not be allowed to use the teleportation array to exit the city. Ivan, I understand your anger, but please don't say these words in front of other people. If your words reach the ear of one of the soldiers, you will be publicly executed. Kyra did not want to see that happening. Ivan lowered his head as he clenched his fists in anger. I understand. Kyra sighed once again. She knew that Ivan never liked the Ethereal Empire or the Emperor. He always has shown his hatred for the Empire. Ever since the day Kyra bought Ivan from the slave market, which happened 7 years ago, Kyra has seen Ivan hold anger towards the Empire and the Emperor. If it was someone else in Kyra's position, that person would have sold Ivan back or would have killed him for saying things against the Empire and the Emperor. But Kyra was different. Despite being a noble, she never has looked down on others. She never treated any person with mockery. Kyra was very kind and caring toward her slaves. Ding. Oh, it looks like we have a new customer. Kyra and Ivan's eyes fell on a long blue-haired young man who just entered in their restaurant and then began closing the umbrella while dusting off the snow outside the restaurant. Welcome to Roseberry Restaurant. Kyra welcomed their first customer of the day. Since it was snowing outside and the city was closed to outsiders, the number of customers that Kyra received every day decreased a lot. It was already 9 in the morning and Aditya was their first customer. Usually in this time, their restaurant would be full of customers. Aditya looked at the blonde-haired beautiful-looking receptionist for a second before walking to sit on one of the chairs. Aditya sees beauties like Alicia, Julia, and Amber almost every single day in his regular life. Aditya had gotten used to seeing beautiful girls. Good morning, sir. What would you like to have today? Ivan elegantly walked up to Aditya with a menu. Just give me a cup of coffee and strawberry cake. After having breakfast, Alicia and Aditya went back to the capital. Both of them agreed to spend some time in Rose Hill City today. There were 2 main reasons why Aditya and Alicia decided to come to this city. The first reason was that in Alicia's parents' eyes, both of them were going on a date. And the second reason was if the mutant fire ants did attack Rose Hill City, then Aditya can provide his assistance. When Alicia and Aditya came to this city, she went to meet a friend of hers. Her friend was the guild master of the White Lotus Guild branch. Meanwhile, Kyra looked a little surprised. This was the first time a man hasn't looked at her for more than 1 second. Ever since the day she opened her restaurant and had started to work as the receptionist, every day she meet countless men, whether they were young or old, all stared at Kyra for at least a few seconds. Some virgin single men even repeatedly came to her restaurant just to get the chance to see her every single day. There were very few men who can resist her charm. When Kyra focused on Aditya, she was again surprised to find that this handsome and young-looking man had a beginner 3rd order cultivation base. He is so young yet his cultivation is already in 3rd order. Alright. After taking his order, Ivan went to the kitchen to tell the chefs to prepare Aditya a cup of coffee and take out the strawberry cake. Aditya was sitting next to the window. When he entered the restaurant, he found that the whole restaurant was empty. Right now Aditya had put his right elbow on the table and was supporting his chin with his right palm while looking outside. The street was empty. Most people stayed inside their houses as it was snowing. Aditya did not feel any cold mainly because of his bloodline. The only reason he was wearing a coat in the first place is that the coat looked very cool. While looking outside, Aditya found that female receptionist staring at him. This woman and the waiter are not simple. She has a cultivation base of mid-second order. And the waiter has a cultivation base of peak third order. Do I have something on my face? Aditya asked as he couldn't handle her stare anymore. No. No, Kyra felt panicked when she was caught staring at her customer. I apologize if my stare has made you feel uncomfortable. By any chance are you working as an adventurer? No, I don't work for the guild. From Aditya's tone, it looked like he wasn't interested in answering Kyra anything about his profession. I wonder, what do you think of the incident that took place in Blackwood City? Kyra wanted to know her customer's opinion on the matter. She wanted to know if the people were with the Emperor or against the Emperor. At the same time, Ivan also returned with Aditya's order. The elf managed to hear the question that his master had asked Aditya. Here is your order, sir. I think the whole incident was quite sad. The mutant fire ants need to be wiped out before another similar type of incident takes place. Aditya felt that Kyra and this waiter's identities is not simple as it seems. As for why would two powerful cultivators like them work in a restaurant, Aditya had no idea. What if the Ethereal Empire cannot stop another mutant fire ant from attacking another city? Aditya instantly frowned hearing the waiter's words. He looked at Ivan who was standing 2 meters away from him. Both men stared at each other in silence. The whole empire has been alerted, nothing like the Blackwood City incident would happen. Aditya felt that Ivan's reaction was odd. While Kyra felt that Ivan was acting a little strange. What if the Ethereal Empire cannot stop another mutant fire ant from attacking another city? Aditya instantly frowned hearing the waiter's words. He looked at Ivan who was standing 2 meters away from him. Both men stared at each other in silence. Ivan was speaking as if he was 100% sure that 1,000,000 soldiers won't be able to stop the mutant fire ants. Ivan always has shown strong hatred toward the Ethereal Empire and the Emperor. But Ivan was a calm person. He never showed his hatred for the Empire when he was in front of others. He only showed this side of his when he was in front of Kyra. This was the first time Kyra had seen Ivan show his hatred in front of another person beside her. Even if the whole Ethereal Empire has been alerted, can the Empire truly stop the calamity that is going to fall upon them? Ivan raised his voice and asked in an angry tone. Ivan's words had caused Aditya to frown once again. It was as if Ivan knew what was going to happen. Aditya's intuition is telling him that Ivan is not just some simple waiter. He felt something was odd about this elf. You're speaking as if you already know what is going to happen. Aditya became more interested in Ivan. He wanted to know what this young elf was hiding. Meanwhile, Kyra was glaring at Ivan for speaking to a customer this rudely. Feeling his master's glare, Ivan secretly sighed knowing that he had said too much. My apologies, I have lost a few close friends of mine who lived in Blackwood City. I couldn't control my emotions for a second. After bowing to Aditya, Ivan went back to the kitchen to calm himself. After Ivan left, Kyra also walked to Aditya and bowed her head. Even though she was a noble, Kyra did not shy away when she needed to make an apology for her mistake. I apologize on behalf of my slave. As for the part when Ivan said that his friends in Blackwood City died, Kyra will have to ask Ivan about it later when Aditya leaves. No worries, I understand. Aditya glanced in the direction Ivan left for a second before lowering his head to start eating. Aditya has found something odd and also suspicious about Ivan. Thank you for understanding. Kyra gave Aditya another bow before walking back to the receptionist's desk. Aditya continued to enjoy his food while waiting for Ivan. Several minutes later, Ivan also returned. 5 minutes later. The coffee was really good. Miss. My name is Kyra and this is Ivan. Kyra introduced herself with a smile. She did not tell Aditya about her real identity. Click. Hearing the door opening sound, Kyra, Ivan and Aditya all three glanced at the person who just entered the restaurant. The one who entered was a young lady whose face was hidden under a veil. She had emerald green pupils which made people feel attracted to her. The woman stopped as her eyes fell on the person who was sitting by the window and had just finished drinking a cup of coffee. Both of them looked at each other for a second before the woman approached him. Meanwhile Kyra had instantly recognized who this woman was. In this empire who wouldn't recognize her? Although she found it hard to believe that the princess of the Ethereal Empire, also known as the Goddess of Wealth, was in her restaurant. Even though Kyra and her family are one of the noble families of the Ethereal Empire, even in the noble circle meeting the Goddess of Wealth, the princess is an extremely rare thing. Not to mention the fact that Kyra is a big fan of Alicia. For the longest time, Kyra has been hearing how big of a genius Lady Alicia was. Alicia had inspired Kyra to become independent. In the noble circle, it is extremely rare for a woman to be independent on her own. This is why Kyra opened her own restaurant. Alicia has always been Kyra's role model, inspiration, and idol. Ivan also recognized Alicia. He quickly calmed down and hid his shocked face without anyone noticing it. I thought you were going to take a few more hours to finish your meeting. Aditya broke the silence. Alicia sat on the opposite chair facing Aditya. I was going to chat with her for a few more hours, but then I remembered that you will feel lonely if I left you alone. You better appreciate the fact that I ended my meeting just for your sake. Aditya rolled his eyes at Alicia. As far as I can remember, you never really care whether I felt lonely or depressed. Ever since last night when they returned from Blackwood City after killing countless mutant fire ants, Aditya has noticed that the distance between him and Alicia has decreased a lot. Before, Alicia used to be a lot reserved, calm and collected around Aditya, but this morning he found that the distance between them has closed. Like at the dining table, the princess asked Aditya to eat more food, which she never did before. When they came to the city, she naturally held his hand and took him to visit various popular places in Rose Hill City. Alicia never held Aditya's hand unless he took the initiative. The only time he really held her hand was when they were in front of her parents, pretending to be a couple. Aditya waited for Alicia's answer while drinking a glass of water. What are you saying, my dear? PTTFFFF. Cough. Cough. Kyra and Ivan ______. Why are you suddenly calling me dear? Aditya wasn't expecting the princess to suddenly call him dear. Meanwhile, Kyra and Ivan, both master and servant, were totally shocked. Kyra even felt that for a second her mind had stopped processing. The current playful princess was totally opposite of what Kyra had thought of her. Ha ha ha. Why are you so shocked? We are a couple after all. Alicia playfully winked at Aditya. What happened to the calm and reserved Alicia? The princess would often laugh, joke around and even tease Aditya in front of her family. He is not sure how or why the princess is showing a completely different side of herself to Aditya. Alicia ignored Aditya's question. She took out a golden storage ring and put it on the table. I have bought all the materials that you needed. Thank you, princes. Do you want to eat anything? No, we should go. I want to see you in action. All right. Under Ivan and Kyra's shocked gaze, Aditya and Alicia left the restaurant after paying the bill. My lady, I think the princess is dating this man. Ivan was still looking outside. He looked dazed. Kyra just silently nodded her head. Today was the first time Kyra had met the princess and she was totally shocked by the princess's playful personality. Alicia, ask some soldiers to secretly keep an eye on this restaurant. After leaving the restaurant, Aditya asked Alicia to keep an eye on the restaurant as he felt that something was odd with Ivan. Actually, this restaurant belongs to the third princess of the Rose family. That blonde-haired girl was actually the third princess of the Rose family. With Alicia's network system, she always knows what is going on in the noble circle. Judging from her expression, it seems she knew my identity. Without realizing it, Alicia was holding Aditya's hand. Aditya also didn't realize it. If you knew who she was, then why you didn't talk to her? Aditya curiously asked. I have heard that the third princess of the Rose family is a big fan of mine. I even heard that her decision to move out and live independently was also inspired by me. If I had talked to her, then she would have dragged our conversation for a long time. Also, we have a more important thing to do. Aditya felt Alicia was purposely keeping a distance from the third princess of the Rose family. As for why the goddess was keeping a distance from a Rose noble family member, he felt that the princess and the Rose family had some bad water in the past. Since Alicia did not want to talk about it, Aditya did not ask her either. Soon Alicia brought Aditya to an inn. This inn was secretly owned by Alicia. After entering the inn, the receptionist recognized Alicia. Without needing to say any words, the female receptionist gave the goddess the key to her private bedroom. Continue with your work. After saying these words, Alicia took away Aditya, leaving the female receptionist to wonder who this young and handsome man was. I can't believe you have a private inn in this city. Aside from the White Lotus Guild, I own a chain of inns, restaurants, and clothing shops. My inns, restaurants, and shops can be found in every city in the Ethereal Empire. Aditya was shocked to hear Alicia's words. He can't even imagine how rich Alicia was. Alicia led Aditya to the third floor, which was only available to her. Anyone other than Alicia was not allowed to stay on the third floor. Unfortunately, when Blackwood City was destroyed, I lost many things. In Blackwood City, I had 1 private mansion, 2 inns, 5 restaurants, and 9 clothing shops. If we count the money I lost last night, then it would be somewhere around 500,000 gold coins. Remember, I still haven't included the deaths of thousands of adventurers and the branch guild office in Blackwood City. Wait. Why did you buy a mansion in Blackwood City? Whenever I am feeling bored, I just go to Blackwood City and stay here with my maid. Alicia bought a mansion because she was feeling bored. Aditya wanted to ask, isn't that just a waste of money? But he didn't ask that, knowing the goddess of wealth can never lack money out of all things in the world. We just didn't lose the lives of 1.5 million people, we also lost almost 9 billion gold coins worth infrastructure, gold, artifacts, weapons, armor, and alchemy pills. So my loss is nothing in front of such a colossal amount. Click. Come in. After closing the door, the goddess came and sat next to Aditya like it was the most natural thing to do. Does that mean you have a private apartment in every city in Ethereal Empire? Aditya couldn't help but ask. Yes. I have at least spent 1 night in every single city in the Ethereal Empire. I have done the same in Eastern Empire. My business is slowly spreading throughout the whole Eastern Empire and the Eastern region. A few weeks ago, I bought a small casino in Zraka City. You're not trying to take over my empire by gaining monopoly, are you? Ha ha ha. I am not interested. I will never do something like this to the Eastern Empire. Alicia's business was spread to other empires in the central region. If she wanted, she can control those other empires by blocking the supply chains. Really, thank you very much to all those who send support with valuable golden tips. You're not trying to take over my empire by gaining monopoly, are you? Ha ha ha. I will never do something like this to the Eastern Empire. Unnulls. Unless what? Unless you anger me. Ha ha ha. Aditya's right eye started twitching. How dare this goddess play with the Crimson Dragon? Hee hee. Princess, it looks like you need some spanking. Alicia, after hearing his words, moved away from him while covering her butt with her hands. The princess then glared at the Crimson Dragon King. You dare? Do you think I am afraid of you? From her words, Aditya now had an idea of just how much power Alicia held in her palms. With her single order, she can make the economy of an empire collapse, which would utterly destroy an empire from the inside out. The princess had the power to destroy empires without needing to use any weapon or any soldier. Alright, enough talking. Let's get to work. Aditya took to put a silver female breastplate from his storage ring. The breastplate was a peak 4-star armor made from special rare metal. Before I start, Alicia, are you sure you want to come with us on this expedition? This time I might not be able to protect you. Since it was confirmed that the mutant fire ants has originally come from the outer region Heavenly Hemlock Forest to attack Blackwood City, the main nest of the mutant fire ant must be located somewhere in the outer or the inner region. This morning, after hearing Noah's report, Ronnie had shared his thoughts of sending an expedition team to find the main nest of the mutant fire ants in the Heavenly Hemlock Forest. Knowing that there is going to be an expedition, Aditya became interested. He asked Ronnie if he can be on the expedition team or not. After some hesitation and some words from Noah and remembering how powerful Aditya was, the whole family reluctantly agreed to include Aditya and Noah in the expedition team. As for Alicia, before the princess could even open her mouth, her father refused her, saying that she was too weak for this expedition. By today, I will break through beginner 3rd order and reach mid 3RD order. Also this time I will be going there prepared with full body peak 4-star armor that has been enhanced with runes. I am sure I can take on even a peak 3rd order. Also, I have the pills and potions that Alicia has sent us. This time I won't become a burden to the team. Alicia was able to convince her father to let her go once she said these same words. How can you suddenly break through beginner 3rd order? As far as Aditya can feel Alicia's cultivation base, he knew that the princess needed at least another month to break through. I have used my sources to find a 3-star crimson apple. The fruit will give me the final push that I need to break through. I just need a few hours to consume all the mana present inside the crimson apple. Alicia was a fire-type mage. Her specialty lay in fire-type attacks. Why do you want to come with us so badly? Aditya wanted to know the reason why the princess was so desperate. Alicia lowered her head while tightly clenching her fists. Last night when you were protecting me and also fighting the mutant fire ants, I felt I had become a burden. I felt powerless. I don't like this feeling of being useless. Alicia then looked at Aditya's crimson pupils. Last night I did not have my maid to protect me. I realized that I had become too dependent on being protected by others. This has to end. Heaven has blessed me with a genius-level cultivation talent, something that almost every cultivator wants to have. I realized I was wasting my talent. I want to come with you so that I can gain experience in fighting and also learn more about my powers. Alicia can't even remember the last time she had fought against someone. All these years she was so focused on expanding her business and earning money that she had neglected her cultivation. I cannot change the past. I want to work hard for my future. Alicia wanted to stop being dependent on others to protect her. Alright. Now tell me what sort of abilities you want your armor to have. Do you want defensive abilities? I want my armor to increase my defense. I also want the armor to be light and increase the power of my fire-type attacks. Understood. This silver breastplate was a part of the full-body armor that Alicia has given to Aditya. Time flowed like water. Without even noticing, the whole day passed. Alicia had gone into her bedroom to consume the crimson apple and cultivate it. She cultivated for the whole day, trying to consume the energy within the crimson apple. By midnight, Alicia had reached mid-3rd order. When she opened her eyes, she felt a big improvement in her physical stats. She felt that her senses have sharpened. Her total mana reserve has increased. Alicia was confident that now she can even give a tough fight to peak 3rd order. I wonder what Aditya is doing. Alicia stood up and then stretched her body. She then went to the living room, only to find Aditya busy drawing runes on her silver breastplate. Currently, the Dragon King was sitting on the ground. Beside him, there were 2 vambraces, 2 gauntlets, 2 pauldrons with spikes on top, and 2 rear braces lying on the ground. Except for the breastplate and all other armor, parts were enchanted with runes. Aditya, are you finished? Alicia slowly asked. She can tell Aditya has worked really hard on this armor set. I am done. Aditya just finished drawing the last rune word. He then put the silver breastplate on the ground and then wiped the non-existent sweat from his forehead. Check it out. Alright. Alicia took out a snowflake-shaped glass from her storage ring. When she moved the snowflake glass on top of the breastplate, a ray of blue light came out of the snowflake glass and began scanning all the armor. Seeing this, Aditya was dumbfounded. On the snowflake, he can see some very small runic words which he cannot understand even though he is a 3rd order runemaster. After the scanning was done, the blue light dimmed down before disappearing. A second later, a transparent rectangular 10 inches wide and 10 inches long screen appeared on top of the snowflake. Alicia, what is this? Aditya asked while looking at this strange artifact in amazement. This is a 5th star artifact. This snowflake lets me appraise other artifacts, weapons, and armor. Basically, with this artifact, I can check the functions or abilities or uses or conditions of an item. But with the condition being that the item's rank must not be above 5 star. Fiery armor set. Rank, peak 4 star. Description, a special full-body armor set which was later enhanced by a 3rd order runemaster. The armor was originally built by a retired blacksmith at the request of the goddess of wealth. Function 1, the armor gives the wearer high resistance against fire, water, and ice magic. The resistance of the armor will be lowered if a 5th order cultivator uses fire, water, or ice magic to attack the wearer. Function 2, after wearing this armor, the wearer will never feel cold. Even the people standing 40 meters near the wearer won't feel cold. Function 3, the fiery armor has been engraved with mana gathering array. This will increase the wearer's cultivation speed or mana recovery speed by 25%. Function 4, the fiery armor can reduce any attack damage from any 4th order cultivation by 90%. While attacks from 3rd order or lower order cultivators won't harm the wearer at all. If any beginner 5th order attacks the wearer, 50% of the attack damage will be reduced by the fiery armor. While if a mid-5th or high order powerhouse attacks the user, the fiery armor will fail to reduce the attack damage. Function 5, when the wearer condenses mana into the whole set of armor, an energy dome will be formed. The size of the energy dome will depend on the amount of mana that the wearer uses. The energy dome can protect the wearer from multiple attacks from 4th order cultivators. I am very impressed. Thank you. You're welcome. Alicia, I am more interested to know about this snowflake artifact that you're holding in your hands. Alicia smiled while looking at this snowflake artifact. For once, getting hold of this artifact was anything but easy. This artifact was auctioned around a year ago. I had to spend 7.3 billion royal gold coins just to get this item. In this whole world, the number of artifacts that actually has an appraisal function is less than 2 digits. On top of that, this snowflake is a peak 5-star artifact. You can just imagine how difficult it was for me to get this artifact. 7.3 billion royal gold coins is 730 in gold coins. Just thinking of such a big number, Aditya felt a headache. As expected of the goddess of wealth. Not even the strongest empires on the continents like the Dying Isle or West Nia had 5-star artifacts. The value of 5 artifacts cannot be counted in numbers. In short word, any artifact that was a 5-star or high star was considered invaluable. Just the existence of a 5-star artifact can put an entire continent into a deadly war. Even the people from the central continent would do anything to get a 5-star artifact. But thanks to this artifact I was able to recover that huge amount that I had spent. In this 1 year, using this artifact I have earned around 10 billion royal gold coins. You know, the longer I stay with you, the more I realized just how poor I am. Even if Aditya combines all of his wealth, he is not sure if his wealth would hit the 1 billion royal gold mark. And here was the goddess of wealth who had earned 10 billion royal gold coins in a single year. I am starting to feel I have made a mistake. I should have become a merchant instead. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, if you're ever low on money, you can always ask me. I will lend you the money for a very low interest. Aditya rolled his eyes. Even if he ever needed money, he can just attack one kingdom or send his army to kill bandits around his kingdom. I prefer to plunder wealth. That is the fastest way of getting richer. Alicia, I think you should call your mother and let her know that we won't be going back tonight. Since it was already midnight, Aditya and Alicia had decided to spend the night in this inn. After spending this much time with her family, Aditya believed that her family would be worried if their daughter suddenly stayed outside without informing them. Alright. Alicia took out a cube-shaped earring. Just as she infused the earring with mana, the earring began glowing. Hello. Alicia, is that you? Where are you? Young lady, it's already midnight and you still haven't returned home yet. It looks like you have forgotten what happens when you break the family rules. Aditya saw Alicia tremble for a second before she spoke in a hurried tone. Mom, the whole day I was cultivating. I have reached mid-3rd order. As for Aditya, he was adding some runic enchantment while I was cultivating. By the time we finished our work, we realized that it was too late. So we have decided to spend the night here. Alicia knew that if she and Aditya went back home this late, both of them would be scolded by her mother and grandmother. Oh. Congratulations on reaching mid-3rd order. I will allow the two of you to stay outside, but tomorrow, young lady, you better give me a proper explanation, otherwise you will not be allowed to go out for the next week. After both mother and daughter's conversation ended, Aditya and Alicia stared at each other. Aditya stared at her for a few seconds before he went to pat her right shoulder to comfort her, and then he went to his bedroom. The next day. Although Aditya was expecting to see Bianca and Olivia scold Alicia, contrary to his expectations, the goddess managed to drag Aditya into her own matter. When Aditya's name was also bought, Olivia and Bianca stopped scolding Alicia and let Alicia go. Alicia finally managed to convince her father to let her join the expedition team. At first, Ronnie didn't want to let his daughter go. He agreed only when Aditya stood up and promised Ronnie the safety of his daughter. Outside Rose Hill City. Currently, 100 people were riding 100 various color Pegasus. These Pegasus were peak 3rd order magical animals. Pegasus is one of the magical animals that can only be found in West Nia. Pegasus is raised and bred by all the strongest empires in West Nia. The reason for this is that a mature Pegasus can become a peak 3rd order magical animal with agility surpassing even peak 4th order magical animals. Pegasus is just like horses, but with wings. A mature Pegasus can even give a beginner 5th order a good run. Although Pegasus is not great at fighting or in defense, they were excellent in agility. Pegasus is one of the best magical mounts out there. This time Ronnie sent 100 powerful cultivators. Among the 100, there were 3 5th order cultivators. One of them was Sylvie, who came at Alicia's request. The other 2 5th order cultivators were 2 elders of the Ethereal Empire. Aside from Sylvie, Aditya, Alicia, Noah, and 2 elder 5th order cultivators, everyone else here was a peak 4th order or mid 4th order. All the 4th order cultivators were wearing peak 3-star full body armor sets and had peak 3-star weapons. Even if the Ethereal Empire was the strongest and also richest empire in West Nia, giving a 4-star full body armor set or 4-star weapons to their soldiers is impossible for them. To make a peak 4-star armor or weapon, just having a 4-star blacksmith is not enough. The metal needed to make 4-star armor or weapon is extremely rare to find and is super expensive. Sylvie had managed to get her 5-star full body armor set by spending years of her saving. If she did not use her authority as the guild leader of White Lotus, even billions might not have been enough for her to get a full body armor set. Even the 2 5th order elders of the Ethereal Empire did not have full body 5-star armor sets. Noah was given peak 4-star armor as he was the crown prince. His life was more valuable than others. Alicia did not need to get one peak 4-star armor from her father as she already had one. As for Aditya, he was the only one who wasn't wearing any armor. Although Aditya had a mid 5-star sword, he did not have any 5-star armor set. Alicia, do you know how much it costs to breed and raise Pegasus? Aditya asked Alicia while sitting on the back of a white Pegasus. He felt very comfortable sitting on the Pegasus's back. If possible, he also wanted to bring this magical mount to his soldiers. Monthly it takes around 100 gold coins for one Pegasus. Aditya nodded his head while gently stroking the neck of the Pegasus. The winged horse was intelligent enough to understand people's words. Meanwhile, everyone except for Sylvie and Noah wondered what was Aditya's relationship with Princess Alicia. Why no one has heard of Aditya? Everyone wanted to ask what relationship Aditya had with their princess, but no one dared to take the initiative to ask such a question as this would be considered very rude. Added to the fact that the crown prince and the guild leader of White Lotus also like this young man meant that no one can offend him. Everyone, I have been ordered to lead this expedition. Our aim is to find the mutant fire ant nest. As of now, we're not sure where the mutant fire ant's nest is. We will be heading to Heavenly Hemlock Forest to find the mutant fire ant nest. We won't come back till we find the mutant fire ant nest. In this mission, I want everyone to listen to my orders. If I tell you to go to the right, you go to your right. Those who disobey my order will be killed. And yes, His Majesty has given me permission to kill anyone who disobeys my order. Hearing the old man's words, Aditya couldn't help but frown. Aditya has met people like this old man even in his previous life. They were the type of people who love power more than anything. From his words, this old man was trying to show his supremacy above others. The arrogance in his tone was clearly evident. It was as if the old man did not care about the presence of the White Lotus Guild leader, which is the biggest and strongest guild in the whole West Nia continent, nor did he care about the fact that he was in the presence of the crown prince or the princess who is also the goddess of alchemy. Noah and Alicia also frowned. Noah knew that Tate was a prideful man. The old man only showed respect to the emperor. But that did not mean that the old man was rude and arrogant in front of the royal family. This was the first time the old man was showing such arrogance and rudeness in front of Noah and Alicia. For now, Noah decided to let go of this matter as they had more important things on their hands. After we return, I will deal with you. The one who spoke was an old skinny man. The old man was around 70 years old. He was 5 feet 7 inches tall. Despite looking old, his back always stayed straight. This old man's name was Tate. Tate was a very proud beginner 5th order. According to Alicia, Tate has been serving the Ethereal Empire for 99 years now. Tate was extremely loyal to the Ethereal Empire. Ronnie greatly trusted this old man. Sitting next to another Pegasus's back, behind Tate there was another middle-aged woman. Her name was Nora. Nora was also a beginner 5th order cultivator. It was said that Nora was the second youngest 5th order in the history of the Ethereal Empire. Nora has beautiful long black hair. The voluptuous woman was actually a succubus. She had a black whip-like tail. Her tail was morphed into love-shaped symbol with the bottom being the tip of her tail. Nora also had 2 small black bat wings on her back. Nora was wearing a tight dress. Just looking at her curvaceous body, no men could restrain themselves. Aditya, Noah, and some other 4th order elite soldiers couldn't help but look at Nora. Even Alicia found Aditya staring at Nora. She snorted. Humph. It turned out that all dragons just think about their lower parts. Aditya bitterly smiled. He has seen women who are even more beautiful and sexy than this 5th order succubus. He was only looking at Nora not longer than even a second. There was no lust in his eyes even though the woman he looked at was very sexy and hot. Aditya turned to his right and looked at Alicia's face. It looks like a certain princess is jealous. Jealous? And me? Haha, I am not jealous. Alicia looked away as she couldn't handle his burning stare. I am not jealous. I am just worried about Julia. Alicia said those words in a very low tone. Aditya was able to hear her words as he was very close to her. Can't you find a better excuse to cover your jealousy? Adityer's words only earned him another cold and sharp glare from the princess. Meanwhile, Noah and Sylvie noticed the interaction between Aditya and Alicia. Noah just smiled. After fighting with Aditya and spending hours with him, he now had come to like Aditya very much. Deep down he was already starting to see Aditya as his brother-in-law. Even though he knew that both of their relationships were fake, he can feel some sparks of love. I will have to report this to Grandma. Noah was sure Olivia would be very pleased to hear his report. Can you two stop flirting in front of me? This is unbearable. Never thought my best friend, the goddess of wealth, would find her love before me. Sometimes fate can be cruel. Sylvie secretly wiped the tears from her eyes. A part of her was happy for Alicia while a part of her was jealous that her best friend was being taken away by someone. After traveling for 5 minutes, with the Pegasus's speed, everyone reached the area where Aditya, Noah, Sylvie, and Alicia fought the mutant fire ants on that cold snowy winter night. Tate, who was at the front, slowed down. As the captain slowed down, everyone else also slowed down. Tate and everyone were shocked seeing the current state of Blackwood City. Not even a single brick of the former Blackwood City remained. The ground of the whole area had been scorched black. There was a deep big crater. Around the crater, there were dead bodies of mutant fire ants, and half-eaten bodies of the people who died at the hands of the mutant fire ants. The area around the crater was painted in red blood color. It was the blood of the 1.5 million victims. As the Pegasus's speed was slowed down, it took the expedition team to reach the outer region of the Heavenly Hemlock Forest another 5 minutes. Everyone stop. Under Tate's order, everyone stopped. Since we're going to enter the Heavenly Hemlock Forest, let's leave all Pegasuses here. Unlike other magical mounts, Pegasuses cannot fight. They are magical animals with very high agility but very low defense and attacking power. Everyone agreed to leave the Pegasuses here. Kobe, you stay behind and look after the Pegasuses. Wait here till we return. Kobe was a peak 4th order powerhouse. Kobe was one of the strongest elite soldiers of the Ethereal Empire. Leaving Kobe outside the Heavenly Hemlock Forest to look after the Pegasuses was not right in everyone's opinion. But sir. Kobe wanted to reject. Kobe was a fighter. How come he has to take care of Pegasuses while everyone else gets to enter the Heavenly Hemlock Forest? No, but. Kobe, this is my order. Tate even refused to let Kobe finish his words. From Tate's tone, he made it clear that there was no room for discussion. Elder Tate, I think leaving Kobe here is a bad choice. Kobe is a very capable fighter. With enough support, he can even give a tough fight to a beginner 5th order. We should bring Kobe with us. We can pick someone weaker to look after the Pegasuses. Noah respectfully advised Tate to not leave Kobe here. Kobe was an important part of this expedition team. His strength will become crucial if the mutant fire ants were to attack them. However, Tate shook his head. My prince, the safety of the Pegasuses is equally important. Beside, Kobe's role can be fulfilled by other capable elite soldiers. No one in the whole expedition team was convinced by Tate's words. Even though Tate seems to know this, he did not care. Noah walked up to Kobe, the young man who was only 43 years old and had managed to reach peak 4th order and was very loyal to the Ethereal Empire. Ronnie was even thinking of promoting Kobe to become one of the generals of the Ethereal Empire in the near future. I will get you justice when we return back to the capital. Kobe lowered his head and nodded while clenching his fists. Kobe believed in Noah's words. After all, Crown Prince Noah was a man of his words. Let's go. Leaving Kobe outside, 99 people in the expedition team entered the Heavenly Hemlock Forest. The forest which will also become their worst nightmare. It has been 1 minute since the whole expedition team had entered the Heavenly Hemlock Forest. For some strange reason, the whole outer region of the forest appeared to be very quiet. Other than the sound of footsteps, no other sound can be heard. Aditya and Alicia were at the very back. Both of them were walking together without even realizing it. Previously in this kind of situation, the goddess would have preferred to walk with her brother, but now without even realizing it, she had become more dependent on Aditya. As soon as Aditya stepped into the forest, he tried to sense everything around him. He silently followed Alicia while trying to sense the presence of any magical animals or mutant fire ants in the forest. But strangely, as far as his senses spread, Aditya felt nothing. It was as if the whole forest was devoid of any magical animals or any mutant fire ants. Around 3 minutes later, a deep frown appeared on his face. Without saying a word, Aditya took out the adamantite doomblade, the mid-5-star black sword. Alicia was surprised when she felt a warm hand taking her left palm. Alicia looked at the person who was holding her left palm. Don't tell me the Dragon King is afraid? Alicia tried to tease Aditya to reduce the tension. But when she looked at this face, she realized that something was definitely wrong here. Normally, regardless of what situation they were in, whether they were in front of her parents, whether they were having a serious meeting or whether they were surrounded by hundreds of 4th order mutant fire ants, Aditya would always smile, show his calmness, and sometimes even tease her. But this time, the look on Aditya's face was very different. He was frowning while looking around. Even though Alicia had tried to tease him, he did not show any reaction. If the danger is big enough to make this perverted and shameless dragon serious, then everyone needs to be serious as well. Aditya, is something wrong? Alicia asked in a low tone. Her words were only heard by Aditya as both of them were walking at the back. While Noah and Sylvie were walking at the center and at the front. Aditya finally looked at Alicia. With a serious face, the Dragon King replied. Ever since we entered the forest, I haven't sensed the presence of even a single magical animal. It is as if all the magical animals in the forest have disappeared. Alicia also then realized this. Normally when one entered a forest, it was normal to hear various kinds of sounds. The sounds of bubbling brooks, remote and close sounds of chirping birds, buzzing insects, and croaking frogs, all were missing. Strangely, the whole heavenly hemlock forest was very quiet. Other than the sound of their footsteps, nothing else could be heard. Another 3 or 5 minutes passed. By now more and more elite soldiers were also realizing this. The nervousness and the tension in the atmosphere only increased with each passing second. Without even needing to be said, everyone was on their guard. But strangely, Elder Tate looked relaxed. Sylvie noticed this about Tate. She narrowed her eyes and kept on observing Elder Tate. Ever since this expedition mission started, Elder Tate has been behaving very strangely. It was as if he had turned into a completely different person. Aditya, could it be that the mutant fire ants have killed and eaten all the magical animals that lived in the outer region of the heavenly hemlock forest? The possibility is very high. But if the mutant fire ants did kill and eat all the magical animals, we would have at least found some pieces of evidence. On our path, we did not come across any dead or eaten bodies of magical animals. Maybe the mutant fire ants dragged the bodies of the magical animals to the nest and ate them there. Maybe or not. I am not sure what happened to all the magical animals that lived in the outer region. Maybe the magical animals were forced to migrate to other parts of the forest when they were under the attack of the mutant fire ants. There are many possibilities. As of now, we can only speculate. Aditya purposely kept his voice low so that only Alicia can hear him. Aditya normally would have shared his thoughts with everyone since everyone here was a team. It was the presence of Elder Tate that stopped Aditya from sharing his thoughts. The expedition team continued to move in silence for another 10 minutes. Before the whole team stopped as they saw or sensed the presence of a third-order mutant fire ant eating a rat. The mutant fire ant failed to detect the presence of foreigners as it was so busy eating the rat that was 3 times the size of a normal rat. I will kill it. Tate was about to kill the mutant fire ant when Sylvie stopped him. Tate did not look pleased when he was stopped by Sylvie. The old man did not even try to hide his displeased face. Why are you stopping me? Sylvie ignored his displeased face and looked at the mutant fire ant. Rather than searching aimlessly. We can just follow this mutant fire ant to lead us to its nest. Everyone liked Sylvie's plan. However, Tate had different plans. We're not sure if this mutant fire ant will head back to its nest after eating the rat. It would be better to kill the mutant fire ant before it senses our presence. If the mutant fire ant senses our presence, it will send a message to its ant queen. This will only make things difficult for us. Mutant fire ants had the ability to send messages to their ant queen. Sylvie frowned. She glanced at the mutant fire ant that was quietly eating and then looked at Tate. The mutant fire hasn't sensed us yet. We can silently follow it while keeping a distance. Tate took a step forward and threateningly looked at Sylvie. Are you ordering me? Hearing Tate's words, everyone else also frowned. This old man was acting like some spoiled rich arrogant young master. Don't forget that I get to make the rules here. If you don't want to follow my orders, then you can leave or you can die. Hearing Tate's words, a cold smile appeared on the dark elf's face. The guild leader of the White Lotus Guild did not look happy she was being threatened and also disrespected. Every 5th order or high order in this world has immense pride in their strength. In this continent, 5th order cultivators stood at the very top. Some 5th orders even considered themselves supreme beings. It was natural for a 5th order to be full of pride and arrogance. Although Sylvie is not an arrogant person, at the end of the day she is still a beginner 5th order cultivator who had the power to destroy any 4th tier kingdom or faction. The fact that Tate openly threatened and disrespected her is not something that she can let go of easily. Tate, you old bastard. I still remember the days when you used to lick my boots just to get gold coins. Just because His Majesty has made you the leader of this expedition group, that doesn't mean that we have become his slaves. Next time if you don't control your tongue, I will rip off your tongue and feed it to the mutant fire ants. Sylvie was a calm and chill type of person. She often joked with her subordinates and her underlings. This is one of the reasons why the guild leader is so popular. Unlike most 5th order cultivators who were arrogant and prideful, Sylvie is a humble person who never looks down on others. Alicia knew better than anyone else that once Sylvie is offended or angered, nothing can stop her. Although the number of times Alicia has seen Sylvie get angry can be counted by her 10 fingers, whenever the dark elf has gotten angry, it never really went well for the people who angered her. Sylvie did not hesitate to unleash her killing intent on Tate. The old man's face instantly turned ugly under the pressure. Even though both Sylvie and he were in the same realm, the old man wasn't confident that he can take on Sylvie. The power difference between him and Sylvie was very wide. While he was someone who had barely touched the beginner 5th order mark, Sylvie was someone who was going to touch the mid 5th order mark very soon. When Sylvie had released her aura, the mutant fire ant that was eating the rat instantly felt the aura of a 5th order. The mutant fire ant was intelligent enough to quickly send a message to its queen about the whole situation. Great, while the both of you are arguing, it seems the mutant fire ant has sensed our presence. Now we might have to face the entire ant colony. Now we have no choice but to leave. There is no way the expedition team can face an entire colony of mutant fire ants. Last time Aditya had killed over 1 million mutant fire ants. But this time, the number might already have exceeded 10 million or maybe even more. Noah was mainly pissed at the old man Tate. Never did he think that the old man Tate, whom his father trusted so much, would be the reason for their failure. Aditya noticed the sudden change in Tate's old. The old man was now smiling while lowering his head. Hee. My prince, I don't think anyone will be getting out of this forest alive. Under everyone's confused gaze, the old took a few steps back. *T. Aditya's face instantly turned pale as he sensed the presence of countless mutant fire ants coming from behind. It was also at this moment Aditya realized that he and everyone has been betrayed. Just realizing this fact, the dragon monarch felt endless anger boiling his heart. Without even realizing it, Alicia noticed red lightning violently flickering around his body. Aditya's hair color also had started turning crimson red as his pupils changed to deep crimson with vertical slits. Aditya, what happened? Alicia worried asked, noticing the red lightning violently flickering around his body. The red lightning had forced her to take a few steps back. She also noticed that his body was slightly trembling while his fists were clenched. He was gritting his teeth while staring at the old man Tate. Aditya said nothing. When he just looked at Alicia, the goddess of wealth started shaking in fear. Without even realizing her legs were shaking. The goddess was forced to take a step back. It was not just the goddess, even all the elite soldiers, Noah, Nora, Sylvie, and even the old man Tate, all of their faces turned deadly pale as the thick murderous killing intent made them feel suffocated. When Tate, Sylvie, Noah, Nora, and other elite soldiers stared at those crimson dragon eyes that seems to be glowing in red color, not even the fifth order cultivators were able to stop their fear. Especially Tate, the old man at this moment felt he was being stared at by the god of death himself. His arms and legs had started shaking. Drops of sweat rolled down his face and neck. He felt his throat had gone dry as his teeth clattered nonstop. His blood had run cold even though his heart was beating wildly. When he stared at those crimson glowing eyes, Tate felt he was staring at his own graveyard. At this moment behind Aditya, he saw another figure. The figure had terrifying red large dragon eyes. The figure's entire body was made up of darkness. From the figure's body outline, it seems a dragon was staring at him. Old man, you sold us out. Aditya stopped holding his killing intent. As he took each step forward, toward the old man Tate, the more of his killing intent was being released. The killing intent Aditya had was too big. He had slaughtered more than 10 millions of beings so far. Aditya, what are you talking about? Noah asked. Alicia and Sylvie wasn't that surprised either as both had seen how strange and weird the old man has been acting ever since they head out of the Rose Hill City. Isn't it obvious, this old man sold us out. Every time we made a decision, this bastard did the opposite. Now we're surrounded by countless mutant fire ants from all directions. There is no escape for us. All this happened because of this old man. What? We're surrounded? Noah was shocked. However, when he saw Sylvie and Nora also nodding their heads with pale faces, he realized that Aditya wasn't just joking. It was not just Noah, all the elite soldiers felt their hearts boiling in anger as they stared at the old man Tate. If they had the power, they already would have ripped his head off of his body. The crimson red lightning became more violent as Aditya's anger increased. When he finished his words, the crimson lightning was flickering around his body so violently that anyone who stood even 10 meters range of Aditya was hit crimson red lightning. The dragon monarch's entire body was covered in deep crimson red lightning. The only thing that everyone was able to see was his crimson glowing dragon eyes. Tate, why did you do it? Even though Aditya did not have any solid evidences against Tate, everyone easily believed in his words as they all has seen just how strange and weirdly Tate has been acting. Just as they left the Rose Hill City, Tate's attitude took a 180-degree flip. The old man began acting more arrogant. The fact that he even stopped respecting the crown prince and the princess added more fuel to the fire. Tate looked at Aditya. Never in this entire life, he has felt such tremendous pressure. Just staring at those deep crimson vertical slits pupils was a great challenge to Tate. His heart was telling him to run away. But deep down, even though Tate did not know Aditya personally, even though Tate did not know how powerful Aditya was, even though Tate knew Aditya was only a beginner third-order cultivator, he felt that Aditya can easily take his life. Even if he started running at his full speed, this demon wasn't going to let him live. At this moment everyone was staring at Tate. Old man, you purposely ordered us to not bring the Pegasuses with us as you knew that even if we were surrounded by countless number of mutant fire ants, with the Pegasus's super fast agility we easily could have escaped. With each passing seconds, even the peak 4th order elite soldiers were able to sense the approaching enemy. Seeing Aditya walking toward Tate, everyone slowly moved out of the way. As Aditya walked up to Tate, no one, not even the 5th order cultivators that stood at the very top of this continent, Nora and Sylvie, was able to bear such terrifying killing intent. At this moment their faces had turned pale. Even the 5th order cultivators were having hard time breathing. While the condition of the elite soldiers was even worse. As for Noah and Alicia, the only 2 other 3rd order cultivators in this whole expedition, their conditions was even worse. If Sylvie had no held Alicia, the goddess of wealth would have lost her consciousness. As the peak 3rd order cultivator, the crown prince of the ethereal empire, at this moment his eyes were bleeding. Blood was coming out from his nose, eyes, and ears. It was taking Noah's all might to just keep his consciousness. The crown prince was already on his knees. It was as if the gravity of the whole world has reached an unbearable point. Even breathing seems to have become the most difficult thing in the whole world. All this were happening just because of Aditya's killing intent. And the Dragon King or the Dragon Monarch wasn't even focusing his killing intent on anyone other than Tate. Aditya stopped when he was about 15 meters away from Tate. At this moment his mind was filled with one kind of emotion, and that was anger. There was no hate or hesitation or depression or anxiety of facing countless mutant fire ants in this mind or heart. The only thing that the Dragon Monarch wanted to do at this moment, no matter the cost, was to beat the hell out of Tate and rip of his heart and bury his skull so deep that no human, no magical animal, no race would be able to find his head. He wanted to destroy Tate's body so badly that even Mother Goddess would feel pity for the poor soul. There was one thing that Aditya hated more than anything in this whole life. It was the thing that he always looked out for. He always took measures to avoid this. Just the thought of being betrayed made the Dragon Monarch lose his sanity. Without even realizing it, without even knowing about the consequences, Tate has done something that every single being on this planet would want to avoid doing. There were many kinds of people in this big world. The number of enemies that Aditya has faced in the previous life and in this life is too many. This number will only continue to increase as he walks on the path of becoming the Dragon Monarch. Aditya respected all of his enemies except for one kind of enemy. It was the type of people who would backstab or betray his friends and families. Meanwhile, in the face of absolute despair, fully knowing and realizing that he had messed up real bad this time, Tate went crazy. The old man suddenly started laughing while looking at Aditya. Ha ha ha. You all will die and become mutant fire ant breakfast, lunch and dinner. But don't worry, I will be sure to bring back King Ronnie's children's head. I can't wait to see the reaction both of your father will have when he will see both of your heads. As for you. Tate was still afraid. Even though he was laughing and saying such words like he has won, his legs never stopped shaking. Under my watch, nothing will happen to Noah and Alicia. I will protect them and this is a promise. As for you, I doubt your allies will make it in time to save your star. Tate widened his eyes in fear as he took a step back while trying to launch some kind of attack, but he was too frightened, which caused him to take a few extra seconds to prepare his attack. At this moment, the only thing that was being heard in the heavenly hemlock forest was the cracking sound of the crimson lightning. Swoosh! Tate did not even need it to look back to know who had appeared behind him. Before Tate can even turn around, dragon claw pierced his stomach. Everyone was stunned by the scene. They will never forget the day when a beginner third order who is nothing but an ant in front of a beginner fifth order was killed by that very beginner third order. The outer region of the heavenly hemlock forest, which has been quiet until now, heard a loud painful scream. The mutant fire ants that were slowing approaching their enemies also heard the scream. You! At this moment, the proud and one of the strongest pillars of the ethereal empire was on his knees while looking at Aditya. I would love to torture you for a little longer, unfortunately I have cleaned some ants. After saying these words in a cold tone, the Dragon King raised his right feet and pressed Tate's head on the ground. At this moment Tate has never felt so humiliated. You! At this moment, the proud and one of the strongest pillars of the ethereal empire was on his knees. At this moment Tate has never felt so humiliated. Tate, one of those persons who stood at the very top of the continent. No one has humiliated Tate like this before. At this moment Tate was also having a new kind of emotions, which was anger. Meanwhile, everyone else was shocked and stunned by Aditya's actions. Especially Noah and Sylvie. The current Aditya was very different from the Aditya that he and she knew. This Aditya was indifferent, cold, cruel and merciless. The beginner fifth order succubus, Nora, was pitifully looking at Tate. Although she does not know on why Tate sold them out, but if she was in Tate's position, she would never even thought of betraying this man. Stupid old man, your stupid arrogance and your greed has killed you. Nora wasn't exactly close to Tate or anything. She always kept a distance from Tate as she didn't really like the old man very much. Now seeing him, just a few seconds away from death, she felt nothing. Ha ha ha. You can kill me here. But today I won't be the only one who dies here. The heavenly hemlock forest will become all of your burial ground. You will see about that. But for now, you can just die. Another second later, all the elite soldiers, Sylvie, Nora, Noah and Alicia, all took a step back as they watched the old man's body start melting. His whole body had started glowing red. White smoke started coming from his body. Ah! With a painful scream that had sent shivers down everyone's spine, Tate lost his life. Ding! You have killed a beginner fifth order cultivator. The experience point that you have obtained has been saved for future use. Aditya released air from his lungs as he stared the melted body Tate. Aditya had used his crimson flames to increase Tate's body temperature to the point where the body of the beginner fifth order directly melted. One had to know that a beginner fifth order can withstand a nuclear missile. Fifth order cultivators' bodies were tough enough to survive in space, walk in magma or survive in the deepest parts of the sea. As a cultivator progresses through each order, their body and mind also keeps on becoming more and more stronger. With each order, the cultivators resistant to fire, water, illusion, mind control, holy magic, dark magic, lightning, wind and earth also increases. For example, even the strongest attack of a peak first order wouldn't even come closer to scratching the body of a beginner fifth order. In this world there are 7 continents. Except for the main continent, all other continents fifth order cultivators existent is considered like a demigod or god. Some rural people would go as far as to even start worshipping fifth order cultivators. For the next few seconds no one said anything. Everyone except for Aditya was still in shock. The fact that a mere beginner third order is able to kill a beginner fifth order is absolutely shocking. What should we do now? No one knew who asked this question, but this question turned everyone serious. We do not have any options. We will have to fight. If we're lucky a few of us might be able to survive and make it back to the ethereal empire. Noah replied. The crown prince already had made up his mind to do everything in this power to make sure that his sister survives even if it meant giving up his own life. Hearing Noah's words, everyone's face changed. His words only reduced the morale of the whole team. Only Alicia and Sylvie didn't give up. Alicia's confidence came from the fact that they had Aditya with them. A few months ago when the goblin invasion took place in Honored Family territory, it was mainly because of Aditya that the Honored Family and the Echo Dominion Empire was able to avoid a huge disaster that could have resulted in the deaths of more than 10 millions of people. As for Sylvie, the guild leader was very confident in her powers. If worse comes, she will use the 5-star treasure that His Majesty had handed to her when they set out for this expedition. We will make it. Trust me and trust yourselves. No one is dying here today. Everyone looked at Aditya. From his back 2 crimson pair of large wings appeared. Aditya's arms transformed into dragon claws. Crimson red scales started covering his skin and his face like armor. At the same time, the clear blue sky started to darken as strong wind started blowing. Within a few more seconds, the entire sky above the heavenly hemlock forest had been covered by dark clouds which contained crimson lightning. The crimson lightning moved and flickered around the dark clouds like snakes swimming in cloud, even though Aditya's words wasn't very long or motivational. But for some reason staring at this man whose blue hair had turned red, who had crimson lightning violently flickering around his body, everyone felt that he was the ray hope of that everyone needed. If we want to win this fight, we must stay together. I want all the elite soldiers to stay in a circular formation. The mages will stay back and attack the enemy with long-ranged spells while others will take the short-range fight. Sylvie, Nora and I will deal with the 5th Order mutant fire ants. As for Noah and Alicia, both of you will also stay with the elite soldiers. Aditya stopped releasing his killing intent. All the elite soldiers quickly took their formation. In less than 10 seconds, they were standing in a circular formation. The mages were inside the circle while the body path or warrior-type elite soldiers was going to fight the mutant fire ants head-on. Nora, can you use your charm to control the mutant fire ants? As Nora was a succubus, she could have the power to charm other beings. Yes, but my charming abilities won't work on 5th Order mutant fire ants. The number of 4th Order or lower order mutant fire ants that I can charm is also limited. I want you to charm as many mutant fire ants as possible. Don't charm any weak mutant fire ants. Try to charm the 3rd Order or 4th Order mutant fire ants. Alright. But if a 5th Order mutant fire ant does appears and I fight it, then it will become difficult for me to keep fight and also keep the mutant fire ants under my control. Nora did not have huge mana reserve like Aditya. This limited her powers. Don't worry, I will be there to assist you. Everyone seems to have accepted the fact that Aditya can fight 5th Order mutant fire ants. No one questioned his orders. Without even needing to say it, Aditya had become the leader of this expedition group. I and Sylvie will focus our attention on the front. Nora, try to assist us using your charming powers. What about the back? Sylvie asked curiously. I have a plan for that. Aditya mysteriously smiled, making everyone curious. Aditya, there is a high chance that during the battle many of us will run out mana. Noah was concerned about this. Hearing Noah's words, Alicia, Sylvie, Nora and others also frowned. I do have some mana recovery potions which I had kept in my storage ring, but the potions I have won't last long. Meaning that we will have to try to finish this battle as soon as possible. Aditya then took out all the mana recovery and stamina recovery potions he had. After keeping a few recovery potions for himself, Aditya distributed other potions equally among the elite soldiers. After giving out a set of orders, under everyone's eyes, the dragon monarch punched the ground and then released all the mana that he had condensed in his right fist. Boom! Suddenly the ground started shaking. Alicia had seen this scene before. She understood what Aditya was planning for the back. Everyone was stunned once again seeing crimson hot magma coming out of the ground like water. Aditya didn't look affected by the magma at all. Within a few minutes, more than 500 meters area was covered in crimson hot magma. This will keep the ants from attacking us from behind. By drowning the area with magma, instead of being attacked by all 4 directions, Aditya has forced the mutant fire ants to attack from 3 sides. No matter how powerful the mutant fire ants were, in front of the magma that Aditya has created, their powers were nothing. Their steel-like hard bodies would instantly melt if they happened to step on the magma river. They are coming. From the north, tearing the thick bushes, thousands of red pairs of eyes stared at the human group that had entered the outer region of the heavenly hemlock forest. The mutant fire ants slowed walked in the direction of their targets without fearing the 2 5th Order cultivators that their targets had. At the same time from the west and east, more than 100,000 of mutant fire ants were marching toward the expedition team. While the mutant fire ants that came from the south were forced to change their direction as an arc-shaped pool of magma blocked their paths. Without needing to be told, the ants knew that this magma was super dangerous to them. Princess, are you scared? Alicia was startled to hear Aditya's voice. Just a second ago he was standing 20 meters away from her, outside the circle. Why, what are you doing here? The goddess of wealth looked nervous. This was the first time Alicia had ever faced something like this. It was obvious that the goddess would be nervous and maybe even slightly afraid. Aditya walked behind the princess and held her with his strong hands wrapped around her waist and her back resting on his chest. His face was resting on her right shoulder. From his close distance, Aditya was able to inhale the sweet and natural fragrance of her body which made him feel like he was drunk. You know, if you let me kiss your beautiful face, then I will promise to protect you with my life. Hearing Aditya's Alicia's felt like punching this shameless man. In the face of such danger, this man was acting shameless with her. I don't need your protection. Even though the princess sounded angry, she still remained standing while leaning against his chest. Being held like this gave her a strong sense of security and comfort. Can you guys not flirt? Everyone had the same thoughts. Everyone was about to face a life-and-death situation, the chances of their survival were less than 10%, yet those two were flirting. Who will protect you? Aditya asked with a smile. Sylvie and my big brother. Both Sylvie and Noah smiled hearing Alicia's answer. Oh really? You know your boyfriend might die in this fight. Are you not worried about him? Meanwhile, everyone wondered who was the princess's boyfriend. The succubus Nora felt she already knew the answer. Humph. I don't need a shameless boyfriend who is trying to take advantage of this princess in this life-and-death situation. Everyone, ____. Crimson lightning. Crack. The sky rumbled with crimson lightning snakes. Under the dragon monarch's command, more than thousands of crimson lightning descended from the sky. It was as if the heaven was punishing the mutant fire ants. The crimson lightning strikes were so fast that not even the peak 4th order mutant fire ants were able to see it coming. Boom. 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 Ding. You have killed a peak 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a peak 3rd order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a mid 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a peak 4th order mutant fire ant. Soul Blaze is charging, 3%. Aditya's attack instantly burned 1,000 mutant fire ants to ashes. But the dragon monarch did not stop there. Aditya flew 50 meters above the ground. From this height, any direction he looked, the only thing that came into his view was endless horde of mutant fire ants. It seems the mutant fire ant queen wants to make sure that we're dead no matter what. Aditya's eyes flashed in killing intent as he tightly clenched his left fist while staring the mutant fire ants beneath him. That's good as well. Originally we had came here to find out about the mutant fire ant nest location. Now I might as well kill the mutant fire ants alone. Holding the adamantite doom blade in his right hand, Aditya covered the black sword with crimson lightning. Crimson lightning violently flickered around his body. Swoosh. The next second, Aditya had disappeared from the sky. The 4th order mutant fire ants that were previously keeping an eye on Aditya after seeing how powerful this beginner 3rd order was, looked stunned and shocked finding that their target had disappeared. Violently lightning cracking sound was heard all over the battlefield. Aditya reappeared 100 away from the expedition group that were currently struggling to fight the endless horde of mutant fire ants. System put all of my remaining free stats into my agility. Ding. 102 plus free stats has been added to agility. The crimson lightning that was covering Aditya's body became even more violent and fierce. Currently Aditya's agility had reached a terrifying level. He was simultaneously using multiple skills. For a normal cultivator doing this might not have been possible, but for Aditya who has huge mana reserve, using 10 or even 20 skills at the same time was not an issue for Aditya. Lightning Armor. Function 1. The user can make a transparent lightning armor using lightning elements. It will consume 20 plus mana per second to keep the lightning armor activated. When the lightning armor is made, the user's defense will be highly increased. Function 2. When the first function of this skill is used, the user's strength will be increased by 100 plus. Storm Flight. Function 1. When this skill is activated, the speed of the user will be increased by 100 plus. It will consume 20 plus per minute to keep the first function activated. Crimson Lightning Dash. The user's speed will be increased by 200 plus, and it will consume 20 plus mana per second to keep the skill activated. The Dragon King's base speed had reached 603 plus. The Bracelet of Wind Fairy passively gave him 100 plus agility, while the passive skills like Crimson Lightning Dash and Storm Flight gave him another 300 plus boost in agility. In short, Aditya's current agility had reached 1003 plus. Swaz. To others, Aditya's was moving at the speed of the light. The only thing that his enemies saw was crimson light passing by them. Right now, other than keeping 3 of his skills activated, Aditya wasn't using any other skills or wasting his mana. He was preserving his mana for the 5th order mutant fire ants, which he believed is going to attack them sooner or later. If he exhausts his mana early in the battle, everyone was going to die. Smash. Boom. Aditya moved around the battlefield like a ghost. He madly swung his mid 5-star black sword. Each second the dragon monarch was slaughtering, ending the lives of more than 220 plus mutant fire ants. His super agility made him undetectable, unpredictable, and extremely dangerous. Ding. You have killed a peak 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a peak 2nd order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a beginner 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a mid 3rd order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding. You have killed a beginner 4th order mutant fire ant. Soul Blaze is charging, 88%. While Aditya was madly slaughtering 220 plus mutant fire ants per second, his teammates were having a very difficult time. If Aditya had no created the arc-shaped magma river, then the whole team would already had fallen from being attacked from all sides. The situation was only getting worse. It only has been a few minutes since the battle has just started. While for the mutant fire ants, it could be said that they were just warming up, but for the expedition team members, they were being forced to give their all and keep fighting. They knew that once they stopped, their mistake was going to take someone's life and break the team formation, which would result in the deaths of everyone. At this moment, there was no differences. Everyone had put their differences aside and was fighting with their lives on the line. Whether it was human, mermaid, beast men, elves, everyone had to work together, otherwise they all were going to die. After Aditya killed Tate, there was 98 people in the expedition team. Among the 98 people, 67 of them were mages while the rest were warrior or body path cultivators. The body path cultivators had to fight the mutant fire ants in close range, meaning that the chances of them getting injured was higher than the mages who took out using long-ranged spells. At this moment the goddess of wealth, Princess Alicia, was fighting. The princess did not held back from using her fire-type attacks. In fact, her fire-type attacks powers had reached the destruction level of some beginner 4th order cultivation. This was all thanks to the armor set that Aditya had enchanted for her yesterday. Hellfire! The Princess Alicia shouted while pointed her right index finger toward the horde of 3rd order mutant fire ants that was 50 meters away from them. As the princess finished using one of her most powerful attacks, for the next 3 seconds nothing happened. The mutant fire ants sneered at Alicia while fearlessly charging forward, but this was a grave mistake. One peak 3rd order mutant fire ant suddenly stopped, feeling the temperature of the earth strangely increasing. Before it can and other mutant fire ants could understand what was going on, the ground suddenly bruised as a golden flames started rising from the ground. A few mages stopped and looked at their right. Alicia's fire-type attack had devoured an area of 25 meters in golden flames. When the golden flames stopped burning, more than hundreds of dead mutant fire ants was lying on the ground. Their bodies has been burnt black. White smoke was coming of their bodies. Not good, I am already beginning to run out mana, Alicia said in a low tone. Her face had turned slightly pale. To make her attack more destructive, Alicia had to put extra amount of mana into her spells. Given how things were going for her, in a few more minutes, the princess of the Ethereal Empire will run out of mana and won't be able to provide any assistance. Just thinking of this made Alicia extremely frustrated. Around 400 meters to the north, Aditya was surrounded by more than 100,000 of mutant fire ants. Finally, Aditya slowed down and put his black sword to kill a beginner 2nd order mutant fire ant. There was a smile on the Dragon King's face. The reason for this smile was Soul Blaze is charging, 100%. Ding! Soul Blaze has reached 100%. All of the host stats has been increased by 45%. Soul Blaze. 3rd order passive skill. Description: a special type of skill that can be learned by both body and magical path cultivators. There is no requirement to learn this skill. This skill itself is a passive skill that will increase the user's stats after reaching a certain limit. Function: since this skill is a passive skill, the user won't have to spend any mana to activate this skill. This skill works by collecting a small part of the enemy's soul killed by the host. When a certain amount of soul energy is collected by the user, this skill will increase the user's stats by 45% for a temporary period of time. Aditya closed his eyes while taking a deep breath. He can feel the rise in his stats. The new and fresh cold yet warm energy spread throughout his body. Time to use one of my new skills. Aditya raised his right fist while gathering a large amount of mana in his right fist. Storm Summon. Aditya closed his eyes while taking a deep breath. He can feel the rise in his stats. The new and fresh cold yet warm energy spread throughout his body. Time to use one of my new skills. Aditya raised his right fist while gathering a large amount of mana in his right fist. Storm Summon. Storm Summoner. 3rd order innate skill. Description: the user can summon storm whenever he wishes. Function 1: to activate this skill it will consume 500 plus mana. While to keep this skill running, it will consume 5 plus mana per second. The more area the storm covers, that more mana it will consume per second. Function 2: the user can freely control the lightning that runs freely in the storm clouds and use the lightnings to attack your enemies. Suddenly the wind became stronger. More and more dark clouds began covering the blue clear. In less than 10 seconds the entire outer region of the heavenly hemlock forest darkened because of dark clouds. Alicia, Noah, Nora, Sylvie, and other raised their heads to look up. All the mutant fire ants also stopped for a second. Everyone noticed the crimson lightning that was swimming in the dark clouds was getting stronger. Boom! Suddenly, without any warning, a strong bolt of crimson lightning fell from the clouds. The crimson lightning strike was extremely fast. When the dust settled, everyone saw the dead body of a few 4th order and 3rd order mutant fire ants. And just like that, the storm started. Heavy rain started pouring from the sky. But for some reason, the rainwater did not affect the magma that Aditya had created. The northern winds also became stronger. Stronger. Occasionally here and there, crimson lightning would fell from the clouds and strike the 4th order mutant fire ants. Boom. Crack. Boom. As soon as the storm started, Aditya also received a few messages from the system. Ding. The passive power of the Storm Marshal class has been activated because of the storm. Ding. The host's mana has been increased by 50%. Ding. The power of lightning and wind types attacks has been increased by 50%. Ding. The hosts has gained 300 plus passive boost in agility. This was the boost Aditya would receive when there was storm. After reaching third order, Aditya's all three classes also have gotten powerful. Ding. Second function of the passive skill Storm Flight has been activated. Ding. The agility of the user has been increased by 200 plus. Whenever any peak 4th order powerful mutant fire ant crossed the 20 meters mark and tried to attack the expedition team, terrifying bolts of crimson lightning would descend from the clouds and would instantly kill the mutant fire ants. This was Aditya's way of reducing the burden on everyone else and also to make sure that everyone is protected while he is away. Aditya quickly opened the system and checked just how much his stats have improved under the effect of Storm Summon, Crimson Lightning Dash, Lightning Armor, Storm Martial Class, and Soul Blaze skills. This was the first time ever since he became a third order cultivator, Aditya was forced to use this many skills at once. Underscore strength, 361, 45% increase, 668. Underscore speed, 603 plus, 100, 45% increase, 2034. Underscore stamina, 336, 45% increase, 487. Underscore health, 336, 45% increase, 487. Underscore mana, 3901, 45% plus 50% increase, 7606. Underscore free stats, 0. The Dragon Monarch took a deep breath as the crimson lightning that had surrounded his body flickered excited as if resonating with Aditya's emotions. Aditya's agility and mana has increased to the point where he can kill a 5th order cultivator very easily. Swoosh. The next second Aditya disappeared once again. This time Aditya moved so fast that he had become invisible in the eyes of his enemies and his allies. The only thing that the mutant fire ants felt before dying was a strong gust of wind. Boom. Noah's face also had started to turn pale as his mana was rapidly being depleted. He is not sure how long he can hold on at this rate. Huff. Huff. Brother, are you alright? Alicia worriedly stared at her brother. Noah forced a smile on his face as he looked at his sister with endless love and kindness. My dear sister, I won't be dying anytime soon. Alicia noticed that a deep cut on Noah's left shoulder. It seems he has gotten injured while trying to kill a beginner 4th order. Your Highness, watch you. Suddenly one of the elite soldiers shouted. Both Noah and Alicia looked up at the same time. Both brother and sister's eyes widened in shock and in despair as they saw 9 meters away from them, there were more than hundreds of mutant fire ants attacking them from the air. The strength of these mutant fire ants were 4th order. There is no way that Noah or any of the elite 4 soldiers can kill this many mutant fire ants. Even Sylvie and Nora would have a difficult time killing all the mutant fire mutants before the ants reaches them. However, their despair was far from coming to them. As everyone from the expedition team heard a loud cracking sound. When Noah blinked his eyes and reopened them, what he saw blew his mind. It takes less than a second to blink, yet in that time something that moved so fast that in less than a second it was able to kill more than hundreds of 4th order mutant fire ants that was 9 meters away from their heads. What was that? Noah asked, even though deep down he knew the answer. Sylvie and Nora, both 5th order cultivators, also stopped and stared at each other in deep shock. Right now Aditya moved so fast that even they couldn't see him. Don't let your guard down. I will deal with the mutant fire ants that are attacking from the sky. You all deal with other ones. Aditya did not stop when he spoke. Everyone felt motivated after hearing Aditya's words. Meanwhile, Aditya moved as if he was teleporting throughout the battlefield. The Crimson Monarch had not even unleashed his full powers, yet the enemy couldn't stop him. Each second Aditya was covering a distance of 556 meters. Each second he was able to kill more than a few hundred to 500 mutant fire ants. At this moment Aditya had truly become a killing machine that cannot be stopped by anyone. Not more than 10 minutes passed since the whole battle started, Aditya's killing count had reached 140,000. Despite being this huge number of mutant fire ants, the mutant fire ants number seems to end. With the power of his sword attacks being increased by 30%, Aditya was cutting even the peak 4th order mutant fire ants' bodies smoother than cutting butter with a knife. Weapon Grandmaster. 3rd order. Description: a powerful innate skill is only given to people who have the War Dancer class. Function 1, this skill gives the user knowledge and instant mastery over any weapon that is held by the user. Weapon mastery increases the power of any weapon by 30%. Function 2, gives the host a 80% chance of dodging or landing a critical strike if the opponent is in the same order as the host. The percentage might increase or decrease depending on the level of the opponent. Ding! You have killed a peak 3rd order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding! You have killed a beginner 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding! You have killed a mid 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding! You have killed a beginner 4th order mutant fire ant. Your experience points has been saved up for future use. Ding! You have killed a peak 4th order mutant fire ant. The constant messages from the system was giving Aditya a headache and also making him feel annoyed. Unfortunately there are no function to turn off the system messages. Aditya could only try his best to avoid these messages and focus on butchering the mutant fire ants. What type of mysterious and heaven-defying existent is he? Nora started the dead bodies that were lying beside her. She and Sylvie were struggling to protect everyone while killing the mutant fire ants. But as soon as a crimson light along with a strong gust of wind blew past them, all the mutant fire ants around them was dead. Now Sylvie, Nora, Noah, Alicia and other expedition teams will have to wait as for the mutant fire ants to come. Nora has never seen or heard of a person that can accomplish something like this. She was now beginning to think that not even the goddess of war can stop this monster. Judging this man using common standard is basically insulting him. Sylvie replied while looking into the distance. Her eyes tried to follow the crimson light that was killing mutant fire ants at an insane speed. Somewhere deep down Sylvie was beginning to feel jealous of her best friend. If she had found Aditya, then she would done anything to make him fall for her. Meanwhile Nora was rubbing her thighs together while looking at the direction of the crimson light. Being protected, such a capable man had turned on the beginner 5th order succubus. The succubus was trying her best to not ruin her image in front of her everyone. Every succubus, by instinct, sought out the strongest and most capable partner. Aditya has made Nora feel that only he was worthy to become her partner. Sylvie, Aditya is single, right? Sylvie did not reply. She instantly stared at Nora. Deep down she sighed while giving a pitiful look to the succubus. Horny succubus, if Aditya was single then I would have been the first to take him. Unfortunately for you and also me, our lady has beat us in the race. Sylvie then looked at Alicia. The goddess of wealth of course has heard Nora's words. Alicia's eyes turned cold. Her cold frost-like stare made Sylvie and Nora both shiver in fear. Don't have any ideas for Aditya. Meanwhile, others couldn't help but curse in their hearts. These ladies were not bothered about the life-threatening danger that they were in. Instead these ladies were discussing if Aditya was single or not. Meanwhile, Aditya was around 2,000 meters far away. The dragon monarch had cleared every mutant fire ant within 2,000 meters range. After getting the boost in his physical stats, Aditya was slowly pushing the mutant fire ants so that his others can take it easy. Soul Blaze, time remaining 6 minutes 2 seconds. Aditya was pushing himself without caring about his stamina. He knew that once the boost from Soul Blaze died down, his stamina would instantly drop, which would leave him exhausted, which is not something Aditya wanted to see happening. As he moved in circle, he tried to sense if there was any 5th order mutant fire ants. Fortunately luck seems to be on his side today, as so far Aditya did not met even a single 5th order powerhouse. Soul Blaze, time remaining 5 minutes 02 seconds. Soul Blaze, time remaining 4 minutes 02 seconds. Soul Blaze, time remaining 3 minutes 02 seconds. Soul Blaze, time remaining 2 minutes 02 seconds. Soul Blaze, time remaining 1 minute 02 seconds. Soul Blaze, time remaining 34 seconds. Slowly but surely 10 minutes passed, and the boost from the Soul Blaze was about to end. By now every mutant fire ant within 10,000 meters has been slain by Aditya. Ding! The passive boost in stats that the host got from Soul Blaze skill has now ended. Suddenly Aditya's speed dropped. He stopped after killing the last mutant fire ants. A wave of exhaustion covered his body. There was a price to be paid for moving at such super speed. Without fuel, even if the engine has the capacity to move at the speed of sound, the car won't move. Aditya was moving super fast, meaning that his stamina was being consumed at a frightening speed. Aditya's stamina was only 336, which was increased to 487 after getting a 50% boost from his skill Soul Blaze. Now that the boost is lost, Aditya's stats also dropped. I think I have come too far. I should head back. After putting a stamina recovery pill in his mouth, Aditya turned around to leave. But just when he turned around, he felt an aura that immediately turned his face pale. What is this aura? Aditya felt as if a mountain was pressing his body. He felt suffocated. It was difficult for him to even breathe properly. Fortunately, after a moment the aura that was pressuring Aditya disappeared. As soon as that happened, the Dragon King coughed out blood and fell on his knees. Cough. What was that? Aditya wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He wasn't sure about the person or magical beast or maybe something, whatever that just pressured him, was far stronger than any opponent Aditya has ever faced in his life. I should head back. And lead everyone out of the forest. Since Aditya has now managed to push all the mutant fire ants 10,000 meters away. They can use this chance to head toward the south and fight their way through all the mutant fire ants and get out of the forest. Swoosh. Everyone was relieved to see that Aditya had returned. After this short yet very tiring and life-threatening confrontation against the mutant fire ants, everyone realized that without Aditya they would be dead. How is everything? Noah asked while looking around. Right now everyone's body was drenched in rainwater. The rain showed no signs of stopping anytime soon. I have killed nearly 400,000 mutant fire ants in this short period. I have managed to kill every mutant fire ant in 10,000 meters radius. But it won't stay like this forever. In a few minutes, the 4th order mutant fire ants will close the distance and attack us again. We will have to use this chance to head toward the south. Aditya's plan was to break the enemy formation from the south direction and head out of the heavenly hemlock forest. Currently the whole expedition team was surrounded from all sides. Without them even realizing it, they were surrounded. Right now Aditya and the team was deep inside the outer region of heavenly hemlock forest. Instead of waiting to confront all the mutant fire ants, the Dragon King wanted to head toward the south so that they can make a path by killing all the mutant fire ants and finally leave this forest. Alright, let's do what Aditya says. Noah and others agreed after seeing how capable Aditya was. The plan was to make a safe path so that everyone can leave this forest with least or no injuries. The plan was never to take on all the mutant fire ants and fight till death. Following Aditya's plan, everyone started running in the direction of south. But just as everyone started running, Aditya realized something. He and Nora, the beginner 5th order succubus, disappeared and reappeared behind everyone. Aditya appeared behind Alicia. Both brother and sister were slowest in the whole expedition group. Since both Noah and Alicia were mid 3rd order and peak 3rd order cultivators, their speed cannot compare to the speed of elite soldiers. What? Alicia asked, seeing Aditya running beside her. The princess was focused on running as fast as they could. You know, princess, it would be better for you let your boyfriend carry you in this situation. Aditya innocently looked at Alicia. But to Alicia's his words had a different meaning. Aditya was telling her that she is too slow to keep up with others and might end up dying if she doesn't let her boyfriend carry her. You just want to take advantage of this situation, don't you? Alicia shot a cold glare at Aditya. The Dragon King pretended to not see her glare. He innocently smiled and stretched out his both hands while looking at Alicia. TSK. Fine. It's not like Alicia had any better option. Alicia was also concerned about her brother. She stopped running and looked at her brother. Only to find that her brother was being carried by the succubus Nora. At this moment Noah has never felt this embarrassed. He was being carried by a girl. The Crown Prince felt even more embarrassed seeing Aditya looking at him with his one eyebrow raised. If possible, Noah wanted to bury his head somewhere and just disappear. While Alicia was looking at her brother in amusement, Aditya picked her up. As soon as Aditya's hands touched Alicia's body, the goddess's entire body was covered in crimson lightning. The crimson lightning formed a full body armor around her. Alicia for a moment thought that she is going to be electrocuted, but to her surprise nothing really happened. Aditya pulled her closer to his chest and started running at his full speed. In a few seconds, he left everyone behind. Seeing Alicia looking at him with questioning gaze, a smile appeared on his slightly pale face. I can control my crimson lightning. Let's just say that this lightning is acting as a protective cover. Even beginner 4th order won't be able to break this cover unless the enemy uses its strongest attack. Alicia just nodded and then closed her eyes for a second. Meanwhile, the smile on Aditya's face instantly disappeared as he sensed the presence of some powerful enemies heading in their direction. With each passing senses, the enemy got closer and closer. As the enemy got closer, Aditya's expression also turned uglier as he realized that the enemy is more powerful than he had initially thought. This is bad. Aditya stopped running. By now he had covered 9,000 meters distance. He was still more than 10 kilometers away from leaving the heavenly hemlock forest. Aditya had to stop running as he knew that even if he and Alicia managed to leave the forest without any injuries, everyone else will die in the hands of the 5th order mutant fire ants. 10 seconds later, one by one others also started to catch up with Aditya. Sylvie was the first one to arrive. The White Lotus Guild leader stopped as she also sensed the presence of 5th order mutant fire ants. After Sylvie, Nora came with Noah in her arms. The succubus looked very happy. There was a smile on her face as she stared at Noah. Meanwhile Noah was repeatedly cursing in his heart, desperately wishing for this to end. It looks like we have come company. Nora put Noah down and looked at their right. From the west direction 3 humanoid looking like mutant fire ants were walking in their direction. Strangely, all 3 humanoid mutant fire ants looked the same. It was impossible for Aditya and everyone to find even a single difference between them. You 3 look exactly like a certain mutant fire ant that I killed a day before yesterday. Hearing Sylvie's words, the expression of the 3 mutant fire ants changed. They now looked angry, but no words came out from their mouths. Kakik. It's not 3 mutant ants that you guys are going to face. Aditya put Alicia down and turned to his left to see another 4 similar looking 5th order mutant fire ants. The situation just only got worse. Sylvie and Nora looked slightly panicked even though they tried their best to not show it. Especially Sylvie, who was secretly getting ready to use the trump card that His Majesty had given her. The 7 mutant fire ants looked exactly the same. All of them had 2 red pair of antennas on top of their heads. With hands and foot were morphed into big and sharp claws. All of them had bright red pupils. All the 5th order mutant had short black hair and their bodies were covered with animal skins. Their fair skin was covered in mud. Without saying any words, Sylvie and Nora looked at Aditya. All 3 exchanged a look of understanding and simultaneously nodded their heads as if knowing what to do in this situation. While Noah slowly walked near his sister. He was ready to give up his life for his sister. As for others, the rest of the expedition team was 4,000 meters away. It was just that Aditya, Sylvie and Nora's speed was on a complete different level when compared to the speed of the 4th order elite soldiers. All the mutant fire ants looked at Aditya. Seeing the crimson lightning covering his body, they all understood that it was Aditya who was responsible for this storm. Do you have any idea how many of our mutant fire ants died from your crimson lightning? Aditya coldly smiled hearing the mutant fire ants' words. I have no idea. The whole forest is filled with overgrown ants. I just randomly called the lightning and your ants kept dying. Before anywhere Aditya looked, he only saw mutant fire ants. So he just randomly summoned his lightning to kill as many mutant fire ants as possible. It looks one of our enemy is a dragon. One of the 5th order mutant fire ant whose name was Nicholas spoke while staring at Aditya. Right now Aditya's hands had been morphed into dragon claws. His whole body was covered with crimson dragon scales. It was no difficult for the ants to know that Aditya was a real dragon. It looks like we will have the opportunity of tasting the meat of a dragon. Another mutant fire ant named Frank spoke while licking his lips. The opposite can also happen. After saying these under Aditya's control, 7 bolts of crimson lightning fell from the sky. Bang! The lightning strikes were so fast that none of the 5th order mutant fire ants were able to avoid it. After being hit crimson lightning, the mutant fire ants were lying on the ground with a painful look. This is to be expected as his class Storm Marshal increased the power of lightning attacks by 50% when there was a storm. Taking advantage of this situation, Nora and Sylvie attacked the nearest mutant fire ants. Sylvie attacked a mutant fire ant called Nicholas while Nora went for the mutant fire ant known as Frank. Swoosh! Under Alicia's worried eyes, Aditya also disappeared. Aditya's speed was even faster than Sylvie or any of the 5th order mutant fire ants. Even though the 45% boost that he got from Soul Blaze has been deactivated, Aditya's current speed was more than enough to take on 5 5th order mutant ants. Agility, 1103. Knowing that the enemy was attacking them, all the mutant fire ants got up despite the pain that they were feeling. While Nicholas and Frank went to deal with the 2 5th order cultivator women, other 5 angrily charged at Aditya, intending to take revenge for the surprise attack. Clang! The mutant ant named Luis tried to pierce Aditya's heart with his claw. Aditya easily blocked his attack using his black sword. Another 5th order humanoid ant named Jimmy took this chance to attack Aditya from behind. Jimmy couldn't stop himself from smiling as he saw that his sharp red claw was only a few inches away from piercing Aditya's back. However, in that very moment, unexpectedly, to Jimmy's shock, a bolt of crimson lightning fell on his body. Boom! Jimmy was sent flying by the crimson lightning bolt. Seeing this, his other 3 brothers, who were Dylan, Evans, and Eric, felt shocked. By now Dylan, Evans, Eric, Jimmy, Louise had a better understanding of Aditya's abilities. This dragon was able to freely manipulate the crimson lightning. Not only that, the crimson lightning appeared to be so fast that none of them were able to reach in time to dodge the attack. Meanwhile, Aditya ignored the shocked expression on Louise's face. He moved quickly and landed a kick on Louise's stomach, which sent the mutant ant flying just like his other brother. Really, thank you very much to all those who send support with valuable golden